This is Wine Woman in Chocolate, and I'm Kat Curry-Williams.
And I'm Robin Radin.
And welcome back to our second episode with Madelyn Alfano from Maria's Italian Kitchen. Welcome, Maddie. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Cheers. We are drinking wine from your private label.
That's right.
From Maria's Italian Kitchen. And we left off in the last episode talking about your decision to, well, we didn't even get to your decision. We just talked about how you opened additional restaurants following the Sherman Oaks opening.
Right. So in 1985, I opened Maria's in Sherman Oaks, and I was very concerned about finding customers, actually, because it was the middle of the block. But I was very blessed because my uncle Mikey would send people there from Mateo's, and do you live in the valley? What happened was, it really was quite successful right away. I thought people would come and order at the counter like they did in Brentwood, but they didn't. They came in and they sat down. So the first customers that sat down, I ran behind the counter. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to Maria's. What can I get for you? They go, well, can we start with some bread and butter? And I thought, ooh, okay, I only have 12 rolls to make sandwiches. If I give them a roll and then somebody else wants a roll, then I won't be able to make a sandwich. I said, I'll be right back. So I went into the kitchen. I got some pizza dough, and I stretched out the pizza dough. I got some fresh rosemary, garlic, olive oil, and I took the rosemary, I chopped it up and sizzled it in the olive oil on the stove with the garlic. Little red chili flake,
and salt.
And I spread it on the pizza dough with some kosher salt. I put it in the oven, took it out, then added and then cut it up and brought it to this couple. And they took a bite, and they said, oh, my God, this is so delicious. What do you call it? And I said, rosemary bread.
That must have been, that literally, you led the way with that.
Rosemary bread.
Wow.
I thought, rosemary bread. I didn't know the word focaccia.
Right.
Came from Hoboken, New Jersey. We didn't say focaccia. We said bread and butter.
Yeah. Semolina was about the flour.
And that semolina on the bottom was what made it nice and crispy.
Yes.
So that was the beginning of our rosemary bread.
Wow.
And I can't tell you how many people tell me, I love your rosemary bread. I said, can you tell me you love something that you actually have to pay for? It would be great.
Yeah, this is true.
We still give it complimentary.
That's right.
Yes, you do.
Restaurants do not give bread complimentary.
They do not
anymore.
give, and as which is sad. And that little bit of salt on that bread, and I say that because it does.
You knew the salt.
I knew the salt because it's just such a perfect balance, such a delicious bread, and we try to hide it from the kids right when we come in because it's like the food is coming, but it is that delicious.
Can I have another piece of bread?
Right.
Can I have another piece of bread?
You will be having bread with your pizza
Yes.
and your pasta. Yes, we will,
Yes.
please.
In fact, you talked about customer service in the beginning, and we would send out a pizza, but we never sent it with bread because, like, you're having a pizza, and people, hey, you didn't send me bread with my pizza. I'm like, who eats bread with their pizza? It is pizza. It's the same thing.
Right.
So we send bread with pizza now. It's crazy.
It's great, and it's something that is, when you keep a tradition like that, I love it because they stop taking bread away from restaurants. And yes, people don't. You can ask if they want bread. Do you want bread? Do you want water? To be conservative of the food and the planet, because you have to throw it away if it goes there.
That's right. There's a lot of waste.
It is so nice to have something consistent every time we go there. I love that about all your restaurants I've eaten in.
The second we sit down, the kids are like, where's the bread? Where's the bread? I'm like, they have to make it.
I tried slow bread. I called it slow bread, and I had these I made these little table tents, like, hey, our rosemary bread is made fresh. We don't want to waste it. We want you to get it. So please, we're going to offer it to you. And my team's like, there's no way we cannot just put bread on the table. People will go crazy. I said, just slow it down a bit. Ask them if they want it. Not everybody wants it. Like, no, everyone that comes to that door wants rosemary bread.
That's
bread.
They all want rosemary bread.
That's where we ditch the keto diet, ditch the whichever diet. Now, you probably haven't made a gluten-free rosemary bread. It wouldn't be.
They do have gluten-free, yes.
We do. If you want it, we'll make it. It's not going to taste the same.
Right.
But we'll have it.
But to those of us who haven't had non-gluten-free bread in years, we don't know the difference.
Passover, we take the matzah, we put a little, olive oil, a little rosemary if you want that too.
So let's get to those. Was it 1988, did you say, when you opened your second location?
I did, and so my family is all about taking care of the community, taking care of the neighborhood. And so I was operating my little restaurant, and someone came in and said, I opened a restaurant for my son. He doesn't know what he's doing. Would you mind coming? Maybe you want to take it over. Where is it? Woodland Hills. Where in Woodland Hills? The end of Ventura Boulevard. So I said to the guy, I just had my first baby. I'm not supposed to drive for a couple of more weeks. I had a C-section. But on the day that I can drive, I'll drive down there and I'll look at the restaurant. So I put Max in the car, and I'm driving down Ventura Boulevard all the way to the end of Ventura Boulevard.
Wow.
Ventura Boulevard by Woodlake Bowl.
Yeah.
That's barely Woodland Hills.
Yeah, it's like it's all the way at the end. So I walked in and I saw this little restaurant. It was kind of like old Roman style, and I thought, oh, this is really cute. He says, do you want it? I said, well, I only have maybe $40,000 in my savings. And he says, I'll take it. I spent $100,000 on this place. I'll take it. I'm like, okay. So that's because no one would loan me money.
That was the question I was
could
going to
not
ask
get
you.
a
How
loan.
was it as a woman in business with
In
a
the
child?
80s,
in the
when
80s,
we thought there was all this women's liberation.
And you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So that's another
That didn't work for
plus,
the bank,
but
but
not a plus for the bank because they
No.
think, oh my.
So all the vendors wanted COD, cash on delivery. That's
Wow.
the term. A lot of people may not know that COD means cash on delivery. It doesn't mean credit card because we didn't have them then. I didn't even take credit cards. I did not take credit cards my first year in business because I knew I needed the cash to pay the vendors.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I opened my first checking account, and when vendors would come in, they'd want a check. And some said, no, we want cash because we don't trust restaurants, and you're young, and we don't believe that you're going to pay us.
Wow.
So I did that.
Well,
and
restaurant business in Los Angeles is very risky.
That's right.
So
Everywhere.
It is.
Everywhere
It
it
is a
is.
challenge.
And so, yeah.
So from the cash flow is how I opened my second restaurant. I thought, oh, am I going to find people to come to the Woodland Hills restaurant? Because we only had a 1,500 square foot restaurant. We said 36 people. It was very busy. In fact, people would tell me, your place is so busy, we don't go there anymore. I said, that's a Yogi Berra term. I heard that one time. But then they would go to the Woodland Hills. So I realized that there were customers that were driving from the Deep
Wow.
Valley to Sherman Oaks. And that's how we developed that
and there
second.
was then number 3.
Same thing happened. Someone came to me and said, hey, we got this failing restaurant in Encino. Would you take it over? I'm like, I don't know, Encino. So at one point, that was in 1989. So 1985, I opened my first. In 88, I opened my second. In 89, I opened my third, all on Ventura Boulevard.
right, and now
Yeah.
you've got your third is halfway between
go.
your first and your second.
Yeah, so I didn't get lost. But I realized when I opened my second restaurant that I had to hire a manager because I was opening
You couldn't
and
be
closing.
3 places at
No,
once.
and I would close on Mondays because my uncle's restaurant was closed on Mondays, so Marie's was closed on Mondays. But I would go in on Mondays just to make sure that the refrigeration didn't break down or there wasn't a flood. And believe me, something always happened. And as I was there, the phone would ring, and I'd pick it up, and people would want to order. I'm like, oh, maybe we should be open on Mondays. So I got sucked into opening on Mondays. So we opened on Mondays again. But what was interesting is I was very blessed that Bruce Paltrow was filming, and I believe it was St. Elsewhere, and he would order food for me on Mondays. So I would get there with one cook. They were doing their reading, and I would deliver the food myself. So I was really
To the
lucky.
studio?
Yeah, because he was a customer in Brentwood, and my parents. So a lot of those customers were
Unbelievable.
really very gracious and very helpful for me in my early
And so I
days.
heard this little story. Little Birdie told me about the Godfather's behind the scenes.
That's right.
They were. Tell us a little bit about that story. Now I'll hear the truth story.
My parents opened in 1972 the first little takeout. It literally was the one-car garage with the takeout window, and then they made a patio. My parents just took a parking space, and my dad, being Italian, you know how to do cement, so he formed the cement, and he made a cement patio, and they put a little railing on it. They had tables and chairs. And this big guy would come in this black suit, and another guy with a beard. I'm like, Mom, who are these people? She goes, you don't know who that is? That's Mario Puzo and Coppola.
Wow.
And they would sit there every day. He'd order a big pizza, and they were working on the movie. Because last night it brought to me The Godfather, and last night at the Academy it's the 50th anniversary of The Godfather. It's the 50th anniversary of Maria's. So I get a text from someone that tells me, read the book, Leave the Gun, Take the Cannoli, page 128. Mario Puzo talks about getting pizza from Maria's Italian Kitchen.
No.
So I am validated when I tell this story. It is in print, and it's a true story.
Oh,
and
my
it was,
God.
And Robert De Niro would go up to the Strasberg's house, and Anna Strasberg would call my mother. She goes, Marie, I got basil, I got rosemary. She goes, I'll send it down to you. And who's delivering the rosemary and the basil but Robert De Niro?
Oh, my God.
Because he was at their house.
And she would grow it in her garden.
That's right. And so it was
what a story.
We had some great stories there.
Oh my
yeah, that was fun.
God,
It was fun growing up, though. I mean, I got to deliver groceries to really cool people.
That's unbelievable.
That's a
Real
whole other
stories.
podcast. Hey,
Yeah.
we're going to call that Wine Winneman and
Deliveries.
and I like
And
it.
Puzo.
Yeah, I mean the
They're
really
very nice. And Francis Coppola's sister, Talia Shire Schwartzman, was also a customer there, and she's very Italian because she's like, she sounds like me. She was yelling. My mother goes, she sounds like me. She's yelling at her kids in the street. I'm like, who does that? I said, only people from back east do that.
Yes,
Right.
They don't
right.
yell here. It's like the whisper.
That's right. I part-time live in New York, and now
Anthony!
and the cars and the calling, and it's just something else. Even with the
honking.
beeping.
Yeah,
and the
that's
other
right.
day, I was behind somebody. It was like I did say "wake up" to him, but I didn't yell out the window. And I just thought about just being the week before in New York.
Yeah.
And it's like no, someone couldn't even wait until someone was crossing and their leg was out of the thing. So
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
it's a different world. It's
a
great.
different culture.
It's
It
great.
is a different world. So what came after Encino, or where?
So Encino is 1989, and then I was at a wedding pregnant with my son Nicholas.
Mm-hmm.
It was in 1992, and I was sitting next to someone who owned the pharmacy in Northridge Pharmacy. He goes, there's this restaurant next door to us that really I think they're going out of business. You should take it over. I said, well, I have Max. I want to wait till Nicholas is born, make sure he's healthy and make sure he's fine. But I'll go look at it.
That was the giveaway.
So Nicholas was born in 1993, and we opened that restaurant. I said, give me a couple of months. I signed the lease. We opened that February 14th, 1994, just 4 weeks after the Northridge earthquake. It was in the epicenter of the Northridge earthquake. The epicenter.
And you still opened 4 weeks
We
after?
survived it because when I was building it, the contractors wanted to use steel metal studs. And I said, no, use wood studs because they're a little more pliable. They'll do better if we have an earthquake.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And we had an earthquake, and that restaurant survived. But what happened was my Woodland Hills restaurant burnt down.
Oh, my God.
So I moved all my crew from Woodland Hills
to
there, and then I had to
Northridge.
find a new restaurant. It took me 9 months to find another restaurant and build where it's now the Woodland Hills store is kind of on the border of Calabasas. So a lot of our customers say, I go to your Calabasas location because it's right on Mulholland. And we opened that September of 94.
Wow.
So we're opening a new one, rebuilding, newborn baby, first child with special needs, and building a new restaurant after the earthquake. And our Sherman Oaks restaurant was damaged, and we brought all of our food to the park on Hazeltine because so many people in Sherman Oaks were displaced.
Right,
And
because
we
Ventura
fit-
Boulevard, if you were on
That's right.
this side of one side of the
Yeah.
street, it shook this way.
Yeah, it was like a popcorn. So a lot of the people were out in Hazeltine at the park there, and we brought all of our food and we just fed people because we couldn't help that.
That's what this is community.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're our neighbors. You got to take care of them.
So you weren't busy, is what you're trying to say.
Put one more thing on your bill. Now, I have eaten many times, and I think we've had parties in your Agora restaurant because my sister lives up on Grey Rock, which is in walking distance to your restaurant there.
That was
which is
1999 we opened that.
Oh, is that right?
That was originally a Boston market. It was actually perfect for a takeout, but nobody wanted to order at the counter and sit down in 1999 for
That was
some
number
reason.
5.
No,
There was
actually,
others in between.
Oh, yeah. I've had opens and closes. So you have to talk about the successes and the failures, although people may not call them failures. They're just a big education, right? Education of business.
It becomes success, more success, and more success.
Yeah, so 5 was, I was in the Costco, and someone told me I should open in. This is my
Someone comes up to you and says,
we got this location in Valencia. I'm like, Valencia? Where's Valencia? I'm like, Valencia? Who knows Valencia? Santa Clarita. Like, where
Scott
is it?
works there. Now I know it well.
Yeah, but this is 1997.
Yeah. That was off the radar.
And they threw a lot of, it was the first time someone offered me tenant improvement dollars. We will pay you to build out. I'm like, really? Wow. I should have known that was not a good thing because it wasn't a great location. We were there for a couple of years and then it was underperforming, so I sold that. It was right across the street from a movie theater, and then the movie theater closed down. So
it had a resurgence, Valencia, but not then.
Not then.
Yeah, and so that.
And then you were downtown.
Downtown, I opened, perfect timing. So that was in 2008. I started negotiating the lease in January, and then I opened September of 2008. If you recall, that was the financial crash. And I was in the heart of the financial district.
I recall.
Yeah. Great.
Yes,
so that was really good timing, and it's a great. I had an express on one side, so it was a fast casual for the people that worked in the offices and needed to get out and maybe had their 30-minute lunch, and then I had the really nice higher end for those that can have an hour martini lunch. We had a full bar, so I had kind of like upscale Maria's and a casual Maria's, and it was great. It just timing was not good, and the location was not good. So that happens.
Speaking about
another experience.
and I love that one downtown. Apparently, I've eaten my way through
all the
goods and the. Do they all have a full bar, or do you not always have a full bar?
We did have full bars in Pasadena, downtown, West LA, and Sherman Oaks. And what I noticed is that our customers are family.
Right, and we brought the kids.
Yes, and the amount of alcohol we sold was very minimal. Beer and wine was really where, if people are going to drink, they're going to have a glass of Chianti or a glass of Merlot or something, a nice Chardonnay or Pinot Grigio with their meal. And so I just sold the liquor licenses, and I used that to put into refurbishing the restaurants. I really believe. Sometimes people will freshen up their house before they're selling it. I believe that you should always have your house because you're going to live in it. I feel the same way about our restaurants. Our restaurants are an extension of my home and my kitchen, so I'm always constantly painting, refreshing, making sure that when you walk in, you feel welcome because we care enough to make sure that you're in a nice environment.
Yeah.
And that's a real important philosophy for me. With the flowers have to be in the front. You want everyone to know that you're welcoming.
You care.
That's right.
And you see in every area of your restaurant. And now this is an interesting time. If you don't mind, I want to just segue to your home and your husband Jeff and your now. How is life after? Opens and closes, and lots of success and successful.
Right.
You're such a good friend, such a giving person, such a beautiful light, and I know Jeff has been a part of that.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that for you.
I got divorced from my first husband in 1998, and I was single for a year. And what's great about being in this industry is I had a lot of male friends and friends that were men that were divorced, and so I was always going on double dates with kids. We would do them.
Right, you have to do that.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun, and I think it was great for the boys. And then in 2000, Max passed away in February, and then my father passed away in March. So 2000 was a really, really tough year. And I reconnected with Jeff in 2002. So my husband Jeff, he's a chiropractor, Dr. Jeffrey Tucker. He's an amazing, amazing healer, and just he's so smart. He's brilliant.
And adorable.
He's a doll. Yeah, he's really just lovely. He's just a wonderful.
Good heart.
Thank you. He's a wonderful man. And we reconnected. We met originally in junior high. So in 1972.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
just kind of threw that out there.
In junior high, in the 10th grade, we were in student government together, and we have this picture of he and I with all the student body officers, and I'm next to him in the tree with my arm on his leg, and I'm wearing like bowling shoes, and he's got the high tops, the Chuck Taylors and the long hair because this is the 70s, and we meet and we reconnect in 2002. 2002, and I'm thinking, okay, this is just a hangout date thing. I don't do Facebook. He doesn't do Facebook. So we just
Didn't even
connected through
exist
friends.
then.
No, but I would go to his high school reunions because he went to Hamilton High. I went to University High, but we both went to Palms Junior High. So all of my Palms Junior High friends went to Hamilton. So I would go to the 10-year reunion. I was married. He wasn't married. The 20-year reunion, he was married. I was married. The 30-year reunion, we went together.
Oh,
so it was like, and then at 40, we were happily married. And so he's got 2 great kids, Josh and Danielle. They're my bonus children. I'm really blessed to have them. And then Nicholas is now just turned 29. So we have a really nice blended family. And Jeff has been a great dad to Nicholas. He's really been so remarkable and loving and just really, he treats Nicholas as if he was his own son. And we call our kids our daughter and our son, and we don't use the step term. I don't like that term.
And you don't have to make too many lists anymore. Now things are working.
Yes,
and,
I still have lists.
You do have
absolutely.
lists.
I made a list before.
You're amazing. you still do so much. You're on our advisory board of She Angels Foundation, which is amazing. One more thing that you do. And does your family eat in the restaurant? What are some of we have some chocolate treats here.
We've got to get to these.
These are desserts,
Some desserts. And what are some of your favorite meals? And does your family like your favorite meals too that are at the restaurant?
Like my family now.
The boys.
So Nicholas and Josh are, and also Danielle. They're really foodies. They'll take pictures of food and they'll tell me about food and. Chicken Parmesan is my go-to. If I go to an Italian restaurant, that's how I test to see if it's really a good Italian restaurant. If the chicken Parmesan is really good, I think ours is amazing, and our portions are 2 people can share it, right?
Yes.
So I was driving in the car with my mother, and my mother goes, yeah, Nicholas called me. He needed the chicken Parmesan recipe. I said, well, he called me too, and I gave him the chicken Parmesan. In fact, I texted him the chicken Parmesan recipe because that's how you talk to your 28-year-old
right?
Yes.
So he's like, yeah. So I said, okay, so what'd you tell him? She goes, yeah, you pound it out, you bread it, you fry it. I said, yeah, I gave him all those instructions. I'm going to call him. I said, Nicholas, I'm here with Grandma, and she's telling me that you called her about the chicken Parmesan recipe, and I think I gave you the chicken Parmesan recipe. Because, yeah, Mom, you gave me the recipe, but she gave me the story. I said, okay, that's really precious. It's the story. It's the way she talked about the food. I just gave him the basic list.
Right.
This is how you do it. This is the method. But she gave the story. So I love that. I love that.
That's really special.
Yeah. They're a very special relationship.
Yeah.
In fact, my mom lived with us for some time, and she would have him watch all the Turner Classic movies. He's like, oh, yeah, these black and white movies are so much better,
Oh, yeah, thank goodness for that. That's a great
God, we try to turn on a black and white movie, and my kids are like, get this off.
Josh loves to cook, so he'll give me this recipe. He's like, I'm making these peas and pasta. I said, oh, you're doing a good show. Show me, video or talk about different food. And Danielle loves entertaining as well. So I've got 3 kids that love food. My husband thinks I'm the best cook on the planet. I don't know why. I can make him anything. I can make him tacos. He'll think they're fabulous. So
do you like to cook at home?
We do cook a couple of nights a week at home, and it has to be all organic. And he's big on vegetables. If I just saute some mushrooms or spinach, or I made rapini 2 nights ago. I'd love to make that at the restaurants. It's really hard to get people to like rapini, the broccoli rabe, because it could be a little on the bitter.
But depending on this time of year,
I got the organic, and it was so delicious.
You call it rapini, broccoli rabe.
We call it broccoli rabe, but if I say broccoli rabe, people don't know what it is. So it's rapini, broccoli rabe.
I love broccoli rabe.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it. That's when I'm in New York in the restaurant. I always get a side of. But I do notice that it's more bitter sometimes than others. And so, what do we have here? We're going to pass around. Because we can do episode number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10.
So I'm so sorry. So we got a lot to talk about here. So this is our flourless chocolate cake. It is gluten-free. It's made with Calibo chocolate.
Oh, I love the gluten-free.
The best way to do that is you heat it up. I like to heat it up in the oven. You can do it in the microwave, and then you put a little ice cream on top of it.
So we've got some ice cream, but we've been talking so much it's melted a bit.
Spumoni, and I thought spumoni would be fun as a topping. This is our chocolate brownie. It does have walnuts. And this is our homemade tiramisu, which is, we make the sponge from scratch, so it's very different than the other tiramisus you're going to taste. Most restaurants will use the lady fingers, and they dip them in the espresso. We actually make the sponge, and we do a cold brew espresso. So we do a 24-hour cold brew espresso, which takes the bitterness out of the coffee when you do that cold brew. So it's a little
I'm going to take
fresher.
that whole platter over.
So,
you.
yeah. And,
going this way
and our
with it.
tiramisu, I think, it's not gluten-free, but it is.
So I'll try it for both of us.
I think it's the best tiramisu anywhere. It's different. It's not your typical tiramisu, but it's really yummy.
Have some ice cream
It's,
soup. Some ice cream soup.
Good?
You
Yeah?
couldn't sort of that. I'm a tiramisu
Are you? Okay.
fan.
Aficionado.
But yes,
That's
and
good.
I've ordered it many a time at the restaurant.
Flourless chocolate cake.
Isn't it good? It's good, right?
So good.
And it's nice because we're offering this for Passover.
Oh, this is because when it's gluten free.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about it for Passover.
Passover is coming up. Tell us what you offer for Passover. I forgot that you do the Passover meals
we
because
have,
I get macaroons, or I used
Yes,
to get those.
our macarons are amazing, and then we dip half of them in Belgian chocolate. We used to dip the whole thing. I thought, well, what if someone doesn't want the chocolate? So we have half. They're also gluten free. So the macaroons are amazing.
Love macarons.
We have a brisket. We call it Celia's brisket. That we make a delicious brisket. We're doing whipped potatoes.
so good.
And then our roasted chicken with carrots, potatoes, and onions that are roasted really, really, really well. So the carrots and the onions caramelize. People think we put sugar in them. It's just the natural caramelization of the flavors of the onions and the carrots that are delicious. It's really good. And our chicken soup is made from scratch. We do a 24-hour bone broth. We get chicken bones and we cook them overnight for 24 hours, so it's really intense. And then we actually shred the chicken meat off of the chickens, and that's what's in our chicken broth.
Is there a
Chicken
matzo ball
soup.
in there at all?
We did matzo balls last year. I gotta tell you, it's not our wheelhouse. Meatballs are our wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah.
We do meatballs better than we do matzo balls.
We
So
get the meatballs
I say
all the
go to
time.
Gelson's, get your matzo balls, get the soup from us.
That's what you. That's we can throw in a Manischewitz matzo ball
That's
into
right.
the good soup.
Matzo balls are not easy. I'll tell you, you can get a brick
There you go.
or you can get light and fluffy.
Yeah.
And my mom's been making matzo balls for over 50 years, and
Yep.
she still will get a batch of bricks and a batch of light
We
and
call
fluffy.
them sinkers, and
Yes.
I like the sinkers.
Yeah, club soda, I think. I don't know. There's some trick.
Well,
People
then
say
how
it's-
far in advance do you need to order the Passover
brisket.
meal?
So we're going to start the brisket and the chicken probably, I like to start a couple of days before. Passover starts April 15th, so I like to start a couple of days before then. I think we actually may go through the whole rest of the month because it's really yummy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna
the
have
chicken
that.
soup
Celebrate every
sounds
weekend.
delicious.
I know, I'm like in
Our
the
chicken
mood for
soup's
that
great.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's great.
raining, a rare pouring rainy
I know.
day in California.
This is comfort food weather for sure.
I'm heading there for the chicken soup, the Bianca pizza, the gluten-free Bianca pizza, some flourless chocolate cake, and then I'll
tiramisu. So,
pass out.
And the ice cream, it's all the gelato, is that? Or is it
It's a
light? or-
spumoni, and it's actually Thrifty's ice cream because I'm an old schooler. So we sell the Thrifty's ice cream by the pint for $5 that you can
Oh
order
my
to go because
God.
Fifties
It was
does make
so
really good ice
Yeah,
cream.
I just thought it was kind of nostalgic.
Yeah,
right?
you know, that's the
I try to
thing.
do nostalgia because people say to me like, "How did you stay relevant for 50 years?" And it's about being the term authentic gets overused, but
Right.
we stay true to our core, who we are. We're American Italian, New Jersey, Italian restaurant. We make our lasagna from scratch. We make all of our soup, sauces, and dressings from scratch. Just keep it consistent, buy the best quality ingredients, and prepare it with love. And, food and love, same thing, right?
Yeah.
And that's who we are.
That's
and I
it.
also want to just a shout out to the people I've worked with for the past 40 years who have been amazing. With me. I have an amazing group of people that love Maria's and love their communities, and I'm really blessed to be a part of that.
And it says a lot about you, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Thank
people
you.
stay working with you, That says a lot about you.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we have. Do we have enough time for Cat's quickies?
Very quick.
Very
A
quick.
quickie.
What does that?
I don't know. My husband and I have a different meaning of that. But okay, let's find out what your meaning of
let's
quickie
drink
is.
to that. First, chocolate, white, dark, or milk.
Milk chocolate. Milk chocolate.
Okay.
See, there you go. Wine, white, red, or rosé.
Depends on what I'm.
If you had to choose one.
If I had to choose one, I'd go red.
Okay. Nuts or chews with your chocolate.
I like nuts. Yeah, I'm
Nuts
Everyone so far
or
has said
creams.
nuts.
Yeah, nuts. Nuts.
Bordeaux.
Yep.
Seas candy Bordeaux.
Oh yeah, the Bordeaux with the caramel. And what is that? The one with the Scotch Mallow.
No, that's Scotch Mallow. That's the
Yeah.
Scotch Mallow.
I literally have no idea what you
And
guys
then
are
there's the
talking about.
California Brittle. I know.
Oh yeah, we can probably sit here and have the name of
My
the reason why
friend-
this is called chocolate and
Yeah.
wine is because we've probably sat around and
I am one of the rare few who says white chocolate, and people look at me and they go, "What is wrong with you? That's not even real
It's not
chocolate."
real.
But I love
it's
it.
not,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah, okay,
it's
that's good.
good.
There's a chocolate for everyone.
So,
And the last question.
okay, so besides your mother, because I think that would be pretty obvious, can you name another woman that just comes to mind who has helped shape you and make you the woman that you are today that you would like to shout out?
Well, I'm really blessed because I was raised with my grandmother, Cecilia, and she was a working woman. She used to take the train into New York every day from Long Island to the city, and she took us on the train to go to Radio City Music Hall, and she taught me to sharpen my pencil. And because she always had a sharpened pencil, she taught us how to dance. She was a ballroom dancer, so I'm very blessed that she taught us. She was a terrible cook, but she was all about. She was very diligent, and she really taught us some.
And
really
what's
good-
her name?
Her name is Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Oh, Cecilia, you said
And what
that.
she taught me from the minute I can listen, that had a brother, is that your family is your most important people. This is your brother. You take care of them. These are your sisters. You may be fighting now, but as you get older, they'll be the closest to you. So I have a very close family.
Cheers to
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Thank you.
And thank you. This was
Thank you.
an absolute joy having
Thank you.
on. I'm
Really was.
so grateful
My pleasure.
to you.
Thank you.
And
That'll do it
Thank
for
you
this
so much.
episode,
Thank
and
you.
we'll
Cheers.
see you next time. Cheers.
1016 Entertainment.